Welcome to the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy brown, holy brown, holy brown, holy brown.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox, Venga Chicos, and Empezamos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hi everyone, Katie here. This podcast is intended to inspire you, educate you, and most importantly, support you on your journey towards knowing who you really are, that inner self, that inner teacher. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer professional health or medical advice on this podcast. If you are suffering from any kind of psychological or medical issue, please do the right thing and seek help from your qualified health professional. Hey everyone, I have another amazing man on the podcast today. It is Katie Talks with Smart Dudes time. Today we have Ryan Riley. He is the CEO and a real regeneration maverick. He's the CEO of a company called Stemregen. They are pioneering transformative stem cell activation solutions for holistic health. We didn't even talk about it. I will include a link to Stemregen and their products. I am taking them currently. When I pressed Ryan about, what's in Stemregen? Basically, it is a lot of Ayurveda stuff, guys. It's plants. And these plants help our bodies turn back on these stem cells that regenerate us, that rejuvenate us. And so I'm really excited about his stem cell activation solutions for holistic health. All of this has a very strong connection to Ayurvedic deep first principles. He also has been a CTO, a CEO. He was over at Microbe Formulas. Some of you might be familiar with Cell Core Biotics. These are some of my favorite supplement brands. And Ryan is really about helping other entrepreneurs succeed through a really spiritual lens. And you'll hear in our talk, it's very real, it's very candid, and he offers up some great advice for entrepreneurs. And if you are one of our Ayurveda health coaches or you're looking to join the Shakti School, I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation with Ryan about God, about purpose, about your mission, and about honestly really trusting in yourself, backing yourself, and faking it until you make it, which is definitely something that all of us have had to do, right, to get things off the ground. I'm just really excited about this conversation. He's definitely been a mentor to me and our company and continues to be so. Also, on that note, you guys, we are right in the middle of Hot Girl Summer. What is that? It means if you're a listener and you haven't yet done our free mini course, make sure to check that out. It's a 4-hour training with me. Essentially, it's totally for free. You can get an insight into what we do over here. Level 1 starts January 2026, but we have early bird pricing right now. And during the summer, and only now, it's going to be $100 off the already low early bird price. We're going to send right to your house a starter kit for summer Ayurveda with spice, with oil, with spritzing your face with our favorite Ayurveda Gal Friday brand, Pavani. I'm also going to send you my summer healing recipes cookbook, and you're going to get to start studying with me immediately right now. You're going to get a free membership to our community called Spirit Sessions. So if you've been listening to the podcast and you're like, I've always wanted to do Shakti School, listen, lady, get in now. I don't know how long we're going to run this course. I'm going to be dead honest. We love it. It's getting better and better and better every year. But it's really a special, special place in the world, in the online community. We have women from all over the planet. Hot Girl Summer Deal happening right now. I hope you'll join us. And if you want to talk to a real person, set up a call with one of my incredible coaches. All right, you all, on to the podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Spirit Sessions. Here we are again with yet another of these incredible men. Katie Talks to Smart Dudes series. I'm here with my dear friend, Ryan Riley, that you heard all about in the intro. And I've invited him onto this podcast because, first and foremost, he is somewhat of a business mentor to me. I really respect him. I love the way that he's done things. He's done really big, great things in the world, but underneath it, there's a lot of love and a lot of care for the collective and a deep spiritual life. So, Ryan Riley, welcome to Spirit Sessions.
Thank you very much. I'm blushing.
You're blushing. That's how I like to start it off with our guys. I like to get you in your feminine blush energy before we
Absolutely.
begin.
This is beautiful. This is the highlight of my week.
Oh,
After the 4th of July, which is the highlight of the year for me, this is amazing. So thank you so much for having me.
thank you. So, Ryan, for our listeners, give us a little bit of a background as to your experience in business and how you got to where you are now. What sparked your journey to want to become an entrepreneur, and what are you doing these days?
Well, I knew that's where this was going to start. And I was like, okay, so I was born May 12th, 1973. No,
The kimono. Ryan said we could open the kimono, guys, on this
there you
podcast.
go.
We'll start slow.
It's really interesting. I'm going to go about this a little bit differently.
Yeah, feel
I
free.
was my family was in town for the 4th, and my brother, who's literally 14 months older than me, so like I've lived in his shadow. Growing up, I felt like I lived in his shadow, and this was something that I had to kind of overcome and deal with, because he was that guy that was like literally as a little brother. I idolized him. I stole his clothes. I wore his clothes. I wanted like, and then as we got older, he got into volleyball, and he was like City County All-State water polo, and like he was just that athletic dude. He had better hair than I did. He had like everything was just, I was this little scrawny, skinny little kid that was just trying to keep up. And this is all my own self-projection, right? Because I don't even think he even realized that this was going on. And so it was interesting because we're sitting there, and a comment was made, and we started talking about, he works in my hometown where we grew up. And he's like, it's funny because people come up to me and they're like, how's Ryan doing? And he's like, Ryan's doing great. He's like, I don't know how Ryan did it. He's like, Ryan's interesting because Ryan has the confidence to do whatever he wants to do. And that's literally, I'm like, he almost fakes it until he makes it type of a thing. And it was his own little, and it's funny because like, it was his own little way of giving me a compliment that's like side of the mouth type thing. But as you asked that question, I immediately went to that thought, because it's like, how have I become successful in business? And honestly, Katie, it's having the confidence to do it.
I'm
And
so glad that you're saying this for our listening audience. I say it all the time. You have to just do it. And, Woody Allen puts out a movie a year and most of them suck. And
yeah,
sometimes he makes an Annie Hall.
yeah, yeah. It's so interesting as I've kind of dissect that, because my first response, because it was my brother, my first response was like, dude, what an a-hole, right? My second response was like, no, you know what? He's spot on. He's absolutely right on. Like, when it comes to being able to do something, I don't think I shy away from anything. I have enough confidence in myself and my capabilities. And I remember this early on in my career. So my background and who I've been is everything I've done has been in a browser. Like from 1997, I wrote my first shopping cart script, right? So I was doing internet developing before internet developing was a thing. And I was actually going to school. My wife and I got married young. I lived in Central California. By the way, we're working on our 30th year. So next February is going to be 30 years of marriage, 5 kids, 30 years. I was going to school for political science philosophy. And then I got on the internet and I fell in love. And I was drawn to this amazing and this was early 1997. So, and I started looking around, like, what school could I go to? Where can I? And there was nothing. UC Irvine had a communications, like network communications, and it wasn't necessarily what I wanted. It was information systems. It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted web. I wanted the internet. I wanted to be a part of this amazing new thing that I knew was going to change my life. And literally, I started doing work for free. I was building websites for people. I was learning how to code. I was writing, and it was all self-taught. And I put a small little resume together, and I took a job at KNTV News Channel 11 in San Jose. My wife is still going to Fresno State. I dropped out and I went to work. And I remember talking to the general manager at the time, who is an incredible man, but he asked me, he's like, why can you do this? He's like, what about this? And I was like, you know what? I've never done that, but I'm confident enough in my abilities to do it that I know I'm going to be fine. And that attitude has taken me through my entire career of getting stuff done. I can do it. I'm so confident in who I am, in my capabilities, and my ability to do it. I don't shy away from the challenge.
Yeah. I want to just pause and highlight that for our listeners because, you know, we have thousands of women that come through our school to become Ayurveda health coaches. And Ryan, like, they're so smart. They're so full of heart. They're so varied in their backgrounds. And the one thing that unites them is this deep intuitive sense that Ayurveda is like this beautiful practice that can really help people. And where I see my students getting really stuck, especially as they start to go out and serve their communities, is this piece that you have in spades. And I just want to pause and imagine a room full of hundreds of women, Ryan, and they've dedicated thousands of dollars because my program is worth every penny, but it ain't cheap. And they've gone through maybe year or 2 year of the program and they are on the other side and there's this block. There's this real sense in a lot of women, not only women, but a lot of women, that our wisdom, that our deep intuitive feminine sense about life and longevity and serving our communities is less valuable. And they have a hard time, some of them, going for it and charging.
Yeah.
Imagine these women. What would you say to them, Ryan?
Well, get me on the stage and let's see, because literally this is so important for people to understand that. And I'm not going to think much about anything I say. I'm just going to start riffing.
Yeah, the kimono's open.
I know my mom gave me a poem when I was in high school, and it was a Dr. Seuss poem, and it was, you are you, that's truer than true. There's no one around that is youer than you. Shout aloud, I am glad to be what I am. Thank goodness I'm not a clam or a ham or a dusty jar of gooseberry jam. I am what I am, what a great thing to be. If I say so myself, I'm happy every day to be me. And that little poem, after CanTV, I jumped over to a company called 8x8, and I was thrown in the mix of Stanford graduate engineers and building infrastructure and IT. And I sat in my first true like department meeting with IT individuals. I didn't know what the freaking crap they were saying. I literally wrote down everything that was said, and I went to Yahoo and I searched it, and I learned and I learned and I learned and I learned. And every time I was forced to question something, I just researched and dug deep and found out. But I took that little poem, and every time I went to that meeting, I like literally, that was my mantra, because I knew I belonged. And I knew that I could do and compete and drive with these amazing individuals that were such examples to me in that space. Ron Davis was director of IT, and that dude was, in my mind at that time in my young part of career, was a genius because he knew everything. And I remember there was this one time we were talking about how to solve a problem, and here's all these engineers, the CEO and who graduated for top of his class from Stanford, and everybody's in here. We're all talking through this, and I stepped back and I looked at it. I was like, wait a second, we're thinking about this all wrong. And everybody turned to me, and I was this dumb little kid. I actually had a broken arm at the time because I wrecked my mountain bike. And I walked up to the whiteboard and I just started drawing, and I remapped out what they were talking about. And they're like, huh, that simplifies the whole problem. That's simple. We can do this. And from that point on, my superpower that I saw in myself was confidence and the ability to just see things differently and to get it done. And that's what has driven me. So what I would say to all these women that you just asked is you've got to trust in yourself and your own natural ability because you are you. There's nobody else out there like you. You are a beautiful individual that has the ability to change the world and impact the world in a way that nobody else can. And
Mm.
that's the confidence that has driven me to success. And that's the confidence that will drive anybody. If they can truly relate to the fact that they are who they are and be comfortable and confident in that, then they're gonna change the world.
Yeah, that brings me to one of the questions I had for you, which is you and I both share a really strong spiritual life, and we're friends, and Ryan will sometimes send me a Bible verse, and he's read my book, and we share this love of our spiritual life being kind of the bedrock of everything else. And when you say all of this about you or you and there's no one like you, what comes to mind is the Sanskrit word dharma, which is about your unique individual purpose. And whether you believe in any form of God doesn't really matter. There is this innate intelligence in an oak tree or a dog or me or you. And there's a divine blueprint in that. And I think when you really tap into not only this like universal beauty that we all hold, like we're all loved and we're all worthy in the eyes of the divine, but also within that everyone's specialness, there's also this unique quality that it's like God made us this way. And what I tell my students is like, it's so funny. This block that doesn't allow us to get our message out into the world is not of the divine. It's actually ego. The less ego you have, the more you're like, hey, let's get up and do this. Right. And so I think spirituality plays a bigger role in the business community than we realize. Speak to how your spiritual life, Ryan, has informed the way you do business now as, an elder statesman of sorts.
I love this question. And again, this so I you guys, I'm gonna go back to my mom a lot in this because my
I
mom,
am loving that you're invoking your mother.
well, she's a spiritual giant in our family. My dad passed away. Wow, I'm just getting a little emotional here. My dad passed away several years ago from the effects of Parkinson's. My dad was that quiet leader in the home,
Mm,
right? He was not that he wasn't ever like overbearing or that he was just a quiet, loving leader in the home. My mom was the one that was the guide. She was the one that I went to constantly. And for example, and my wife even talks about this today. She like when my mom said, I need somebody to help me in the kitchen. I was the one that got up and just went. I was the youngest of five and I was the first one there. And it got to the point where my mom was like, Ryan, can you do this? Jared and I are sitting on the couch and she'd ask me and I'd do it because she knew I'd do it. Right. So my mom's now 85 years old. She lives with me in my home. And I have this beautiful experience to see the relationship between my 10-year-old daughter and my grandmother, how that's being built, which is absolutely gorgeous. So I just kind of give you the background of who my mom is, but she told me early on, her brother, Leon, was very, very successful. And my mom told me that the reason why Leon was so successful, and this is what Leon told my mom, is he made God his business partner.
oh, I'm gonna cry on that one. That might be a better title than the kimono.
Yeah, I mean, and this was one of those impactful moments early on when I was probably in high school when it really didn't matter, but my mom made that comment to me and it stuck with me. And I have tried to emulate that in a way that allows God to be my business partner. So decisions I make and guidance in there, and we can get into some of these stories that have been super empowering where I know that God's hand has been directing me, guiding me, and the work that I'm doing now is bigger than myself.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a prayer, I always I've studied Ayurveda more than anything else, even though I was raised Southern Baptist, and my listeners know I love me some Jesus and he's my guy. But, there's this prayer that you do as an Ayurvedic practitioner, the triadic heart, right? And so there's Ryan, there's Katie, and then there's this thing above us, right? And we could also say it's the thing below us, Mother Earth, Father in the sky. And we invite it to come down, infiltrate our business. And, sometimes we'll do this invocation in Shakti school and things have shifted. And by the way, last year we prayed this prayer. It's incredible. And that is, may the women that need to find us, may there be no barriers to them finding us. And may the women that don't need to find us not. Right. And it's like, come, please be with us in this endeavor, because we really are, Ryan, like, on the biggest level, affecting the lives of so many more people than we know through our companies. You have amazing conscious businesses. You guys heard his bio. I'd actually been taking Ryan's supplements before I even knew him. I'm like this hardcore fangirl. And then I meet him. I'm like, oh my God, you're that guy. But really, like, it's like, we think that we are business people. We think that we're teachers. We think that we're bartenders. We think that we're firemen. No, it's all the temple, right? And we get these messages of the women that are like, oh my God, like, you've not only affected our life, but all of these other people's lives through them. And so I think, again, just coming back to this message of, what's getting in the way is our ego. It's not divine, universal God consciousness. It's our sense of limitation.
Yeah. Yeah. And literally, I say this, I've said this to hundreds and hundreds of people, is if we can just get out of our own way and lead with a service mindset.
That's it.
Right. And here's the deal. You don't have to, opportunities will come if you're willing to serve that. Sure. And if you lead with service first, the deal will happen. The compensation will come. I truly believe that our Heavenly Father wants us to be successful. He wants us to prosper in this land. He wants us to have the things that we need to have to be successful, because if we lead with that service and we're humble enough to accept that, we'll do more
than we could ever imagine with our limited mind.
Exactly. And where much is given, much is required.
Oh, my mama used to say that to me all the time, Ryan, growing up.
That's critical. And so if you're open to receiving and serving in return, then more will come. I love just going into scripture. I love Malachi at the end of the Old Testament, where talking about tithes and talking about that service first, because tithes to me is putting God first. And he says, prove me now herewith. And there's only a few times in scripture where God's like, challenge me, dude. Like, put it to the test, freaking prove me now. And he says, prove me now herewith, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive.
Ugh, that's intense.
Think through that a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you just put him first and serve in the way that you know how to serve, and even serve beyond your capabilities, it will come and it will be returned, because that's the promise. Look at the parable of the talents, right? There was the guy that...
I don't know this one. Did you say talents?
Talents. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
The parable of the talents is this beautiful story of where the master gave talents to 3 individuals. One of them he gave 6, one he gave 3, and one he gave 1. And the one that he gave 6, he magnified those talents and he returned back 12 and I don't know the exact numbers. And so somebody's going to be like, oh, it was actually 5. But he returned back to the master when he came 12. And the other one, he magnified his and he returned back to the master more than what he was given. And the last one, who only had 1, he was so nervous and scared and so had the ego blocking that he didn't want to upset the master. And he took that talent and he buried it in the ground and he hid it.
Wow.
And so when the master came back, he retrieved the 1 talent, and the master looked at him and said, what did you do? I gave you this beautiful talent and you did nothing with it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, don't bury your talents. Magnify who you are, magnify the person you are, and drive to the ability beyond what you can do, and you will be blessed. And it's easy, seriously, it's easy for me to say that because looking at where I am today versus where I've come from, it's easy for people to say, well, yeah, you've been successful. But dude, I also remember when my house was in foreclosure twice. I also remember when like I had no, like we would come home and there's a note on our door with like $200 from some unknown person. That's like, we know you're struggling. Here, we're
Wow.
to help. Like
Wow.
I had people serve me, and I've had that, and I've been able to work through it, and I've been able to
Mm.
fortunately live in a way that I've been blessed to be able to serve others.
Mm. You know, I love that our conversation started and it's been woven through this whole sense of like your younger self and your family. And as you reflect on, being a CEO, but also like a very visionary man, if your inner child were speaking to us right now, what would they say that you actually do for a living?
So my son, it's so funny because my oldest son, he describes me to his friends as my dad is just kind of like an 18-year-old kid in a 52-year-old body, right? My younger self would probably look at me and be like, first of all, like super stoked that I have such an amazing wife, right? Like just stoked, like you, dude, that's it right there. My younger self would be like, dude, you made it. Your wife is phenomenal. And I truly believe that the secret of success is to surround yourself with people who are better than you and then
Mm,
convince them on a daily basis that you're worth it. And literally that's how I found my wife. My wife is seriously 1,000 times better than the person that I am. And I have to live and I have to prove to her daily that I'm worth being around.
mm,
The cool thing about this is she lives up to me and I live up to her. And it's this beautiful connection of we strive daily to prove to each other who we are and that I love her like completely. And so I say that because like I don't even think like the success and everything I've done, I think my younger self would look at me and be like, dude, you married up.
mhm.
Like honestly, I think that's where it would be. And describing what I do today is, man, I don't even know how to answer that.
Good. I'm glad I finally stumped you for
No,
once.
no, it's such a great question. He would definitely look at me because, and here's the challenge because my younger self had no understanding of the internet. Everything I do is online. Everything I
Wow.
do is in the browser, right? And so the concept of building in today's environment is so much different than it was back then. So, but I think that he would look at me and say he serves. I would hope this is what he would say. He serves and supports and builds community.
Mm. So I love that. I feel like we probably resonate because I feel like that's the same thing I'm doing. Ryan, everything hasn't been dolphins and rainbows. Let's be really honest. Like being an entrepreneur is really hard, whether you are starting a lemonade stand or you are running a multi-million dollar company. I know for me, there have been several times. I'm not going to say so many because it hasn't been, but there have been several times when I really was like, F this S. I hate this. I want to give up and I'm going to run away and I'm going to hide in a cave. And then no one will ever be able to talk bad about me or criticize me or bother me. So like those things in the past have actually fortified me into such a strong leader now. And I am so grateful that I didn't give up, that, it just Shakti School is getting better and better and better. And I think I am too. So walk me through a dark night of your business soul. What have been like, I mean, you don't have to go into anything too personal if you don't want to, but like, have there been moments when you really wanted to just quit?
It's interesting. A friend of mine that I work with, she asked me a question last year, and this is a different question, but it relates a little bit. She's like, "What are your biggest regrets?"
Mm,
And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? I don't have any regrets at all because I am comfortable and confident, and I love who I am.
mm,
I am the sum of my experiences. And so the ability for me to look at my life and be, I am who I am today because of all that.
Mhm.
So I don't regret anything. And in a similar vein, like even those dark moments and challenges and struggles, man, I embrace those because it's who I am today. So I don't think I mentioned a little bit about like there was a moment around 2005. I was working on a project with a company, and it was a major, major project. And we built an entire team around this project. I got actually like 5 patents from this in network infrastructure, architecture, and security. And it was like we were redefining new concepts that were just absolutely incredible. And then in November of 2004, he cut the project and he stiffed us with almost $300,000 that he owed us, that we owed our team and we owed everybody. And it was a moment of, what are we going to do? My brother and I, who I said talked about earlier, we were in business together at the time, and fortunately, there was resources behind us that we could be able to take care of our team. We put them first. We took care of our team. We kind of went through this terrible time of what are we going to do now? And in the process of that, I just went to work. For me, the greatest way to overcome challenges is to get to work. I remember one time I was freshly off my mission for our church. I was married to my wife. I was working in this group home and I got laid off. And I went home to my wife, knew like we were just a few months married. And I went home, I was like, I just lost my job. And she's like, what the crap? And behind our little apartment in Fresno was the unemployment office. And so I was like, well, they said I could go here. So I went and I stood in this line and I
Mm.
looked around and I was like, I was literally there for like 2 minutes. I was like, dude, this is not me. And I turned around, walked across the street, and I got a job.
Wow.
So for me, it's all about just getting to work. And in that moment in 2005, that was when our house was in foreclosure. We couldn't pay our bills, but I got to work. And by the end of 2005, I had built something completely new that allowed us to have an amazing career for another 10 years in an industry that supported our family. And that led to, and all the things I did in the next 10 years led to the ability for me to have the next journey and the next adventure,
Mm.
which gave me the success that I have today. And so those dark moments in life, like it's so funny in today's vernacular. You're like, oh, that triggers me. I'm like, dude, there's nothing that triggers me. Like for me, it's like, dude, why? I'm not going to play victim here. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh no, no, dude, I'm going to freaking roll up my sleeves. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to get it done. And I don't ask anybody in all the companies I own and all the experiences I had. There's not one thing that I'll ask somebody to do that I'm not willing to do myself.
Mm. Yeah.
And for me, those moments of struggle and challenge, that's the refining fire.
Mm.
That's when you have the ability to really define yourself and who you are, and you come out the better person.
Mm. I love that. It makes me think of whatever, there is a Bible verse actually about this. And I don't know it perfectly, but something like he will use all things for your good to those who serve him. And I had a friend, I was speaking actually with one of my mentees the other day, and we were talking about leadership. And there's this false idea that if you're a leader, you're kind of like at the top and you're kind of hidden behind your assistants and like it's kind of easy and you're just sort of like the big boss on campus, when in fact, being a leader is the messiest role in the company. Being an entrepreneur, especially, and a leader in that often means that you work all the time for no money initially. You know, being a leader means that you're the face of everything. So if something goes wrong, everyone looks at you. Being a leader actually is the most vulnerable position to be in. If you're a good leader, you should be the one who, if we're going to use the metaphor of a battle, you're on the front lines with your team, right? You go first as a leader. And I don't consider myself in any way, shape, or form to be better than anyone in my company, in my school, in the world in general. But what I do know that is one of my talents that God gave me is that I am willing to go first. I'm
Yeah.
willing to do it. And on the note of being triggered, I want to tell Ryan this because he said, I never get triggered. I get triggered all the time. And, the practice really is that I don't let that define me. And I actually, in Tantra, whatever it is that is, no one said triggering back in the day, we called it karma. But whatever your karma is, same principle applies. The divine will use it for your unfolding and for the melting of your ego. So when we are triggered as leaders, it's this one, or anyone, it's this opportunity to look at the way we're actually being asked to open into love to something hidden inside of us.
And that is so beautiful because that is how you become successful. And you said something in here that's interesting, and I don't think people understand this, is when you're in that entrepreneur mode, when you're starting something, you have to be able to step into the darkness
Mm.
before the light will be opened up to you. You have to be willing to take that leap of faith. You have to be able to do the work because nobody else is going to do it. And what that does is it provides a level of opportunity that as you continue to grow, then and here's the interesting thing, as the leader of a company that's moving forward, now you have what I call, and a good friend of mine, we talk about this a lot. Now you have slack. As a leader, you have slack. And what slack means is you have the ability to do whatever's necessary inside a company that needs to be done at that moment, or that has the ability to drive future outcomes that aren't planned.
Yeah.
That's slack. So when you get to the point in your business when things are going well and people are looking at you like, oh, well, he's leaving today at 3. Yeah, I left yesterday at 3 because my wife needed me home, but they didn't realize that I worked till 11 reading and preparing for the next, you know what I mean? So
I
yeah,
love this. I love this concept of slack because I wrote you and I were speaking this morning. I don't feel like I have any slack right now. And it doesn't provide for me to actually be the birther of the new for the company, which, this will shift and change once we have January over. But, I love this idea for our students listening. Like, you do need that creative slack.
yeah. And that's so important because it's early, like in the 80s, the concept was sharpen the saw, right? In the book First Things First by Stephen R. Covey, he talks a lot about sharpen the saw, and it's the two axemen go out to lumberjacks to go chop wood, and one just goes at it all day long. The other takes an hour, and he sharpens the saw, and then he begins. And the other guy's like, "You're wasting time," and he's doing so much more, and then all of a sudden, the guy that's out in the lead, he never takes time to sharpen his saw, and the other guy just progressively passes him.
Mm.
So you have to take slack. You have to create space for you to be successful. You have to create space for you to step back and look at the big picture so that you can be able to identify what needs to be done. Because when you're in the thick of it, and everybody knows this, when you're in the thick of it, you can't see beyond the trees.
Yeah.
You have to create slack. You have to create space so that you can be able to step back. And as the leader of a company, if your company is running well, and there's seasons, right?
Yeah.
And we're in a season right now of like, okay, let's roll up our sleeves, let's get at it because we have like this is our time. And then after that season, you have the ability to step back and say, okay, now what are we going to do? What's going to be next? How are we going to move things forward? And you take those moments of slack to be able to plan for the future, to challenge yourself, to progress in your personal as well as business life.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of being a leader in a company. It's not the fact that you don't work as hard as everybody else, which is kind of perceived, but it's that you have the slack to be able to accomplish different things in different areas. But again, you'll lead out. When the time comes, you'll lead out. When that season is on, you're leading out and you're leading the charge and everybody rallies around you.
I have something that's arising I want to address because I can kind of feel my listeners and my students out there. I'm kind of their advocate in these conversations. And we hear this a lot. And there's some people, and this is just karma, right? This is just how we were made and what we're experiencing as lessons in this lifetime. But there are some people on the planet, I know you're one of them. I know I'm one of them. We come in like fire and we're like, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I know I'll do this. My mom let me go live in Spain when I was 17 and go to college. And I asked her now, why would you ever have let your beloved daughter move across the world at 17. And she goes, honey, there wasn't nobody going to change your mind. Like there's just some of us that come in with this sharp sense of what I'm going to do. There are a lot of people that have a harder time connecting with what is the talent God gave me? What is my purpose? What would you say to my listeners and students where they're like, well, I know I like this and I like that and I like that and I like this, but I don't know what my gift is?
That's a beautiful question. And here's the thing, not everybody has that in Ayurveda, the pitta, right? That fire. Not everybody is that hot.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, right. So, but here's the beauty of this. Think about what I just said earlier is the secret of success is finding people who are better than you and convince them you're worth it. Building a team
Yeah.
of amazing individuals. Do you know what I'm terrible at? The discipline side of business. That's like I'm so bad at just the march, the banner, the discipline side of business that is just the constant. So I have Spencer. Like Spencer is absolutely incredible. And I have Dave. So I have two amazing business partners, Spencer and Dave. And we actually we wrote a book together that's kind of baking right now, and it'll come out and we're really excited about it. But the whole concept of this book is finding the balance between discipline and disruption and in business and finding the harmony. And I talked a little bit about this at the conference that we were at, but it's finding harmony in those two opposing forces. And so what you have to do as a leader is identify who are you. You might not be the disruptive type leader that's out there, and that's okay. You can still be who you are and then surround yourself with one or two individuals that create your three-legged stool that
Right.
allow you to be what you need to be in the business. And that's the beauty of partnerships. That's the beauty of team. And here's an interesting story. I coached lacrosse. My boys got into lacrosse, and I coached lacrosse for years as they were growing up. My youngest son, Dallin, was coming into his junior year, and the lacrosse team at his school, the varsity lacrosse team at his school, was just struggling. And we let the coach go. And I was president of the players, the club, and we were like, who are we going to find? We didn't have money to hire an amazing coach. So my good friend Jason Anderson and I, who we've coached together a long time, we said, we're going to take over the team. And it was all approved. Parents were like, well, we're kind of concerned because you have kids playing. I'm like, look, we're going to be fair. We're going to take over the team. Coming into that year, we only lost two players, meaning we had the exact same team from the previous season that went like 3-7. So losing season, 3-7. We had the same team coming back. We added a few new players. We lost a couple seniors. That team took state that next year. And all it was a change in leadership. All it was the confidence to accomplish. And the one thing that we instilled every day, every practice, was confidence into those kids. Like I told my defensive, because I was over defense, I told my polls that there isn't any team in this state that will go up against you guys. You will destroy everybody. Every day I told them the confidence, confidence, confidence. And it was so amazing because all four of my polls and my goalie made it to the All-Star game. And for one quarter, all five of them were on the field together against the best players in the state. And there wasn't one goal scored against them. And it was such a beautiful moment because these kids finally realized that absolutely this is who we are. And the reason I say that is because as an individual, you need to find your own strength. And you need to have that confidence. It comes back to confidence that we talked about earlier. You need to have the confidence to be able to know that you can do what you can do and then let others around you succeed. And if you can support them in success in the areas that you're weak at, in the areas that you don't feel as confident in, and you're going to know those. Like, you know where you feel less adequate, and you don't have to be everything, but convince people around you to work, and you'll get there. And the beauty of this, and if you're having a hard time figuring out who you are in business, there's a couple of tools that we use on like with every company, with every employee, everybody that we work with. There's the Kolbe A exam, and the Kolbe A it identifies how you work. how you
I've never
approach.
heard of this.
Yeah, so it's absolutely incredible. So the
Did you
Colby,
say Colby as in Colbye?
Olbe,
Wait,
Colby, Kolbe. Okay, and I'm dyslexic too, so if that's wrong, then you'll get it. But it starts with a K. I know that.
we'll find it, right, Eva? Eva will hear this.
So there's a Colby A, and what that does is it defines how you approach work, and it
Mhm.
breaks down to 4 categories. Are you a fact finder, implementer, a quick start, or follow through? And it's how you approach work. Dude, I'm a high quick start. You're a high quick start. I can tell.
I was just about to say, I'm definitely a quick start. Yeah.
I'm terrible at fact finding follow through. Well, Spencer is incredible at fact finding follow through and medium on quick start, right? And so
That's my girl, Sarah. Shout out, Sarah.
exactly, you get it, right?
Yeah.
So understand who you are and how you approach problems, and then find people that balance you.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean, everyone listening, it doesn't mean you hire people. It can be like you outsource to the web designer. It means that
Exactly.
you can, it doesn't mean you have to hire all these team and you may feel that's not possible. Yeah.
But there are people that are willing to work and willing to help you. So the other tool that we use, and I'll get into this next thought. The
Yeah.
other tool that we use is Strength Finders. And Strength Finders is incredible because it gives you your top 10 strengths and it categorizes them from 1 to 10 and it identifies, are you the visionary? And it's such
Is this like a website, Ryan?
yeah, so you can go
Oh,
to
cool.
like
We'll find it for the people
yeah,
listening.
the Colby and the Fact Finders are the two tools that we identify, and they're not
No,
personality.
strength finders. You said
Strength
fact.
Finders, yeah, sorry, Strength Finders, and they're not personalities, but what they are is they're how you approach work. How do you approach situations? And then what you do is you look for balance in your company. And for example, if you have a small company and you feel like things aren't meshing, you can look to those two tools and easily identify, oh, wait, Sarah approaches work in a way that's completely different than Jane, and that's why they're struggling. And once you understand that, then you can work through here's the conflict, and you can lean into that conflict. You can create harmony in your team, and you can begin to scale.
I have to say, I feel like we have finally found our perfect. We have Sarah, Kirsten, Katie, Eva, and Eden. And it's like we are the oiliest machine right now. And I can literally see these qualities in each of these women. And by the way, it was a dark night of the soul that allowed us to get to this place where we're a smoothly oiled machine, right? So it's like going back to that point about the dark days.
Yeah, and here's the challenge. And this is true across the board. This isn't a woman men thing. This is
Not
true,
at all.
right?
Yeah.
We have a hard time letting people go that don't match and fit the core values of where we want to go. You hire people. If you're going to bring somebody on, it's risk. And then if you feel like, okay, I made a mistake, now it's failure. But it's not. And there's all kinds of phrases like hire fast, fire faster, but you have to look at your business as a season. And there's a time and a place for everybody in that season. And sometimes people serve a season and they're done. And that's okay. You needed them at the moment when you had them, and maybe they don't fit now because of the direction or where they're going. And it's okay to let people go. It's okay to be able to identify how do you continue to grow and build so that you can continue to maintain harmony. The hardest thing in a business is to let somebody go, because a lot of times people do that from a sense of, oh, I'm so sorry I'm doing this to you. Oh, I'm sorry that I'm doing this to you, and then you're not doing it to them. Here's the beauty of this. On almost every time that I've let somebody go from a company, they have come out better in the end. And it's a time and a season for everybody.
By the way, I feel like those of you that are listening that are like, I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't care about this. Yes. Ryan just gave you really good advice on relationships.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a time and a season for everything. And if
Friendships, everything.
and if that person is no longer serving the
The
greater
bigger
good
purpose.
in your life, then it's time to go move on. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
And you have to know and understand that. And it's not a point of failure on your side. The problem is we take so much of that in that it becomes a failure on our side that this person didn't work out.
Well, and that's again the ego. It's the hubris of as if you're kind of the God of the universe, right? Orchestrating things. Yeah.
And And so as you grow a business and you're trying to understand where you fit, find those people that can serve today and
Mm,
look for those people that can serve tomorrow.
mm,
That's really the key. Surround yourself with people, and success breeds success, and people are attracted to who you are because of the purpose and the mission that you have, and those people will come. If you feel like you're trying to force something, it's probably not right
mm, mm.
anymore, right? And it might have been right in the beginning, but not anymore. I don't
Love
know.
it. I love it. Ryan, we have a lightning round question for you.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind as we start to wrap up this incredible podcast with the CEO of Stemregen, who, by the way, is an incredible product that I am currently an affiliate of because I believe in what you're doing. Stemregen uses plant stem cells to awaken our own within. So it's essentially Ayurvedic by any other name. So more on that to come, you all. But lightning round, Ryan, if you had to choose one scent, what would it be?
Lavender.
If you had to choose one song,
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Behind the Sun from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
wow, you guys, I'm getting to know Ryan on a whole nother level. And lastly, Ryan, I kind of think I might know the answer to this, but I'm not sure. If you could choose one sacred ritual.
So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For me, going to the temple on a weekly basis is the most important part of my life because I have the opportunity to sit in the room that we call the celestial room and meditate and be close to my Heavenly Father.
Mm, that brought tears to my eyes. You guys, I stand fully corrected. God forgive me. I thought it was going to be your love for cacao ritual.
No, I would absolutely. But you know what? Being in temple,
God over chocolate.
God over chocolate. Chocolate's a good number 3, but God over chocolate. The second is my wife. Is my
Mm.
wife, and then
Mm.
chocolate.
Ryan, I want you to know I love you. You are a brother to me. I am so grateful for our relationship. I think also just showing so many women what a good man looks like and really bringing your love and your fire and your wisdom and your pitta to spirit sessions. I'm so honored to have you in my life and have you on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We need to do this again. Like seriously, I'm all for it. This time went by so fast.
Well, I'm already having ideas. I'm like, we can bring Ryan in to do a module for our business graduates. So we'll
I would love to. Like whatever you need, Katie. I'm here to serve. I have Slack and I have the ability and I want to serve. And it's always value first. So whatever I can do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. A big special thanks to Kevin Carlisle of Goodbye Gemini, who wrote this beautiful podcast music, and to DJ Juan Pablo Jimenez in southern Spain for mixing it and making it magic.